to the Coach Glass Podcast. Welcome to the Glass Gill Show. Man, I've lost my lung power. It's been so long since we've done one of these. Whew.
That was good. That was an F flat.
Thank you. Thank you. You have your little tone device out there telling you when you're in pitch, when you're out of pitch.
Yes.
Speaking of pitches, I'll tell you what, it's the Glass and Gill Show. It's season 5, my friends. We're in season 5. And look at this, season 4. You could tell us apart. Now? Huh?
Hey, I'm getting too many people texting me like, hey, are you Jason or Lance? Oh, it just kills me. It just
Yeah, you
kills
know
me.
what's funny about that is we both get that. We both get you look like Lance, and then you look like Jay, and we're both offended by it. That's the best part. We're both like, there's no way.
I mean, you're way more famous. You got 500 episodes on your show. Over 500 episodes. Let's talk about that for a second. Congratulations. That's really impressive.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yes, it's a lot of work, but you know what? It's been a labor of love. I've enjoyed the whole ride, and I continue to enjoy the whole ride, but I'm taking a little bit of a different approach now. I decided before it used to be every single week, like I was dedicated to every single week. And by doing that, it was a little bit for 9.5 years. It was like this little thing on my shoulder just going, you got to get a podcast done. You got to get your podcast done. You got to get your podcast done. And I love doing it, but it was always this thing that had to be done. And now I want to free myself up and just be able to podcast when I want to podcast. And when I have a wonderful guest like yourself on, I want to be able to have fun with it and not have to feel like, oh, shoot, I better put something together for next week. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's exciting.
All right, let's start off with this. What did you do to your thumb? You got to cut it.
Oh my God, I burnt my thumb. Look at that thing. It is disgusting. I burnt it on I was doing smash burgers on the barbecue with a big, iron, what do they call it?
Skillet.
Yeah, a big skillet. And then I picked it up to get to degrease it with this hand, and I was degreasing it with this mitt, and then this one was bare, and then I slipped and it spun, and then I went to catch it, and and then I had to go golfing the next day, and then it was it's not good. Well,
Ooh.
luckily, lead thumb. It actually my thumb pushes right there on the golf club, not right. Yeah, right there.
You don't hit just the tip.
Not just dude. I give it the full like kit and caboodle.
Oh, good. Well, I'm glad you're healing, man. That made me scared.
Well, you know what helps me heal is watching some of the success, my friend. I'm so excited. It's the PGA Tour playoffs, and I'm so excited for you. Lucas Glover, client of yours, and Jason Bales and in your team. You guys have done some incredible work, and you're finally getting the notoriety that you deserve for really resurrecting his career.
Well, we didn't resurrect anything. Lucas he's a baller. He's got the best attitude I've ever seen in an athlete. And as you know, Jay, we've worked with a lot of athletes from different sports. Like this guy, there's no quit in him. There's times in the last 12 months that I look at Lucas's journey and say, could I keep going? And most likely I would have had to say, no, I need to take a little break from this because, I mean, you've seen it. He was missing 12 inches, 20 inches. And there was no rhyme or reason. There was no technical breakdowns that we could work in a practice session. He was just fighting through everything. And I'm going to be honest, I think it's one of the greatest golf stories that I've seen in my lifetime is just somebody that doesn't quit like he does. And the phrase, it's always darkest before dawn kind of pops up in my head. And if you look back in early July, it was pretty dark. And then we started to see some rays of light. Now we have to put on our sunglasses because those rays are coming through strong.
I'll tell you what, man, it's an incredible journey for him. To do it at this time of year in the playoffs is insane. And Patrick Cantlay is a guy who's constantly for some reason shows up at the playoffs and then just destroys. And then there's parts of the year I go, what happened to Patrick Cantlay? Is he like? I know he's always around, but it just seems like he turns it on at this time of year. And I have to say, watching the playoff, I was like, I don't know, man. This is, this is Patrick Cantlay at his finest. This is where he thrives. But
Right.
so we don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen next. We got two more tournaments to go for the 2023 playoffs, and who knows? But you guys are in a really good seat, and it's. I know you don't want to celebrate yet, which is kind of weird, right? Hopefully you celebrated for his last win, but this one, you kind of
I
like,
think I think inside the training camp, it's a little bit about it's business still. We're still in business mode. We haven't been able to let our guards down because of the time that this has happened. If it was a U.S. Open, perhaps we could have taken a couple days. But right now, Lucas is in recovery mode from Memphis, where it was 147 degrees out. He's in Chicago. He's probably going to spend more time horizontal for a few days than vertical, and I fully support it because this is a war of attrition, and these guys are playing under some very significant, you know, circumstances, if you will. The amount of pressure, the amount of heat that's on is pretty solid. And you add in the money component, holy Moses, holy Moses. So listen, we'll have time to celebrate. Lucas loves limes in his beers. He's gonna hate me for saying that, but it's kind of a running joke with us. Um, but he did send us a text saying, "Limes are on me, boys. Limes are on me for the next round." So we know he's in a good frame of mind.
now, Lance, let's talk about the pants.
Shall we?
Um,
Go on.
Yeah, it's something else though. I mean, it was hot. That just shows as an athlete what you're trying to endure and what you're going through at that time. You have the stress and sweat of just like being in that environment, but then you also have the just the incredible humidity and the heat was bearing down on them over those days. So that was incredible to watch.
Hey, here's my take on it. One of the signs of a healthy human being is sweating. So the more you sweat, the more your excrement system is functioning to dissipate heat. So the man was sweating from every single pore in his body. So at least we know it's functioning.
Well, Patrick Pantley was not sweating. He was very calm as a cucumber, and his pant leg, Catrick pant leg, was actually dry. So whether he switched pants maybe in the middle of the round, I'm not sure, but he was looking cool as a cucumber.
Well, the dude that Lucas played with actually switched his shirt in the middle of the round. He went from a black shirt to a pink
Yeah,
shirt.
makes
And
sense.
I was throwing flags. I was throwing penalty flags. And you can't do that. That's switching your equipment. Now you're going to get some of your rules officials buddies that are going to be like, look, this LGP guy needs to shut his mouth because he doesn't know Rule 47-13C. Well, I don't. You're absolutely right. But I thought that was kind of unique that you can switch clothes in the middle of a round.
It is interesting. It is interesting, especially like what? Let's say rain delay. You're putting on a 5 mil wetsuit. Like that's gonna help you. And that is a performance enhancing change of clothes. So yeah, I agree. I think we need to look deeper into this. This could go viral. This whole we're gonna call it Shirtgate. And it's gonna go, yeah, this is big. This is big. And you heard it first on the Coach Glass podcast, Glass and Gill Show.
Yeah, yeah. Shirtgate, bring it.
Shirtgate. So yeah, that's very exciting. I want to talk a little bit about we love talking about coaching when we're on the Glass and Gill Show. What I love about this story is it's not just like when people think about the golf swing and having golf coaches. How much of this was technical, like let's fix your plane, let's change your the way the club face is interacting with the ball, and how much of it was creating a belief structure, the spiritual and emotional side of being a competitor, all those non-tangibles that you can't put in a DVD or a book when you're doing an instructional video. How much of that went into your team and the communication with Lucas?
Um, I would say from a technical perspective, there's not a ton that was really glaring from Lucas. He's been one of the best ball strikers for decades, if you will. He's got a very repeatable and predictable ball flight, ball pattern. What we did find was a lot of his, we call them low hanging fruits or items that are in his control, his
We saw them
postures.
in his pants. Yes, yes, we saw that. Yeah.
The things that are in his control weren't being managed properly, like ball position or alignments, setups, or pressures at setup. So by creating a checklist, we're able to let him have a self-diagnostic kit so that when he's on site at a tournament, he can correct. Him and Tommy, his caddy, are very invaluable to one another so that they can correct and they never get too far off the highway. I always use the analogy of if you're going down a highway, you start at point A, uh, point B is your destination. So the fastest route is a straight line, but invariably some point on that journey you veer off. You hit a little fade or you hit one in the water. Most mortals, when they do that, they just keep veering off, and we end up in Memphis or something. Now, I guess I just used that because this was Memphis. But the best players in the world get right back on the highway very quick so they can make those adjustments. And having a little cheat sheet of what your tendencies are really made a big difference for him so that he never got too far off on his ball striking. In reality, it was just make sure this putter, once this putter gets going and the demon was gone, or we'll say put to rest for a bit, things really changed rapidly. So by instilling that, the belief structure came next. The who are you? What type of player are you? And that all was stuff talked about on the range. And there would be a lot of times when Lucas would just stop hitting balls on the range and say, "Hey," he would tell us a riddle, and we would talk about the riddle. Next thing you know, we're 35 minutes into a riddle, talking about life and belief and life on the road and so on and so forth. And I think that stuff really what permeates into an athlete's psyche and belief structure. So it's nothing radical. We're just a support system for these guys who are under a lot of stress, if you will.
Is that why you call him the Highway Riddler? Because he fits into your highway analogy and he likes to tell riddles?
Yes, the Highway Riddler. The Highway Riddler. He did throw a stumper out at us. He comes in and he says, "Okay, there's four," and I may be wrong, it might be five, but I think it's four Division I basketball schools that the mascot is a color. Not the name of the school, but the mascot is a color. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. No, the name of the school is a color.
Oh.
Name of the school is a color. So the mascot could be whatever. Brown is one. That's one. So this is something while you're thinking, like it just got us thinking, and it's really cool when he does this inside of a lesson because it's not all golf. It's about life. It's about thinking, it's creativity, taking different paths.
Colors.
One of them is a military school.
Oh, Navy.
Yeah, you got it, Navy.
There's got to be an orange in there somewhere.
Well, one is your wife Julie's hair color in my dreams.
The Reds?
Well, it's kind of red, yes. It's a different word for red. It's where Coach Blackburn likes to talk about. It's one of his favorite schools.
Oh, Auburn.
Auburn. You got number
color?
That's a color, Auburn, yeah.
Aubergine.
I don't know what that means.
Okay, that's a British term for eggplant, an aubergine. See, we're all learning. We're all learning. We're all on the highway. Here comes the fourth Riddler.
Okay.
Should we leave this one up? Should we leave the fourth one for our listeners to maybe comment?
Yeah, well, I'll just give you a little subtle hint. It's in the box of Crayola 64.
Ooh, you got to go outside of the 12?
Oh, yeah, you got to go to the jumbo pack.
Okay,
I believe.
all right. I like it. I like it. So those kind of lightheartedness. I find like being on the range. People and some people ask me, they're like, "Jay, what are you doing on the range? Why are you out there? What are you really doing out there? You're a strength coach. Stay in the gym." But I love being on the range because I want to feel the vibe of like when they're hitting balls. I have nothing to add. Like I never talk to them about their setup. They're like, I'm different than you. I'm not a golf. I have no bearing on the golf swing. I'm just there to talk to the caddy, talk to them, see the vibe, get a feel for what they're going through, and what they're working on, so that when we go into the gym, I have something to kind of connect to. But my job is to be a little bit more lighthearted, a little bit fun, but other times I know when to shut it down and I know when to be serious. And there's times when they think I should be serious and I know when to throw a bad joke or something silly because they're being a little bit too serious. And other times they might be like, "Oh, are you cool, Jay?" I'm like, "Yeah, you're a little quiet today." I'm like, "No, just watching what you're doing. Just keep going. Whatever you guys got going on, I'm liking what I see." So I think that is a tangible of a coach, where you really have to feel the environment in the moment and decide when is it time to icky and when's it a time to whap, you know?
Yeah, and we make mistakes on that sometimes too.
Oh yeah.
But learning's good. You know, we we have a Jason Glass on our team. It's Colby. So big Colby down here in Jupiter, K Wayne. He's always training, he's always working. So he doesn't have a lot of time to actually be on the range with the players.
Oh, because he's
So
busier than I am. I get it.
he's busy. He's busy.
I know he is. I know he is. He's unbelievable. I love him.
He's a good dude. And the cool thing about K Wayne is, you know, it was probably 3 months ago. We were on the range. Lucas wasn't happy with his timing. He felt something was off. So the first thing we did was do a physical screen on him to identify if there's anything that had regressed from 2 months before. And what we found was thoracic rotation and trail hip rotation were just a little bit different. So something had happened and he'd gone down like 15 to 20% on his number. And I immediately called K Wayne on the range and said, "Listen, next time Luke is in, which was the following day, can we work on thoracic rotation, trail hip internal rotation, because we're looking for a deeper pivot so that Lucas's timing matched up with what he was familiar with." And instantly it was put into the plan. So the Jason Glass he's always there with us, whether he's on the range or not. He's one text away, one FaceTime away, and it's like a seamless integration of biomechanics, technique, mental, and physical. And I think that's something the average golfer doesn't really get enough of. It doesn't make any sense to me, because how hard is it to call? Say we share a golfer, I'm coaching him and you're training him. It's not that hard to call you and say, "Jay, listen, man, can you look at pelvic tilt, because I think there's too much arch." And you're like, "Bam, done. Here's the feedback. You give it to me." Oh, it's a simple transfer of information that I believe the industry is still lacking a little bit.
Yeah, I think as TPI practitioners and we've taught I don't know how many courses. I'd love to do the math on that around the globe over the last 13 years. But we really preach the team element. But what we're talking about right now, you can't really coach. Like you have to have some intuition. You have to have some experience. You have to have some, like, when to connect with your experts in your team and when to let it go. So I find like that in general when you're teaching seminars or workshops, like you have to kind of simplify it and build it into a system. But there's so many things that happen outside of that system that takes the human element. The AI can't replicate the human element in coaching. So that's what we're talking about right now, which I love, is that when is it time to get Colby on the line? When is it time to interject, or let the player figure it out for themselves? Like those are it's like a feeling that you have. It there's no mathematical equation that'll explain it.
No, and immediately I was getting texts from no fewer than 20 people asking me when I'm leaving for Chicago, which is this week's tournament. And I was like, well, we don't go on the road a ton. It might be once or twice a month we're on the road. But people are like, "You got to be going to Chicago." Even Ian Baker Finch was on the range this morning saying, "Lance, are you going to Chicago?" And I was like, "No, actually, we texted Lucas last night. He said he's going to be laying down. We're good to go. We're good to
Yeah.
go."
Well,
So
that's the whole thing, is I don't understand what people. I get the same thing. They're like, are you going to this event? I'm not going to the BMW. I have a player in it. We've already done our work. If, like, I text them every day, we talk every day. We discussed, like, in Memphis about hydration and trying to keep his salts up and how to rest and recover properly, which he already has a strategy, but let's just check in and see how we're doing. We talk every single day. He doesn't need me training him. If he needs me training him at that event in the playoffs, then I didn't do my job during the year to prepare him for that moment. Now, soft tissue people are different. The physios that do soft tissue, like, you can actually, prep the body for that day, but they already have their warm up, they already have their game plan for what they need to do. They're ready to go. Unless a player in your situation has some issues and they go like, man, oh man, I can't figure it out. I need you guys on the range this week on Monday through Wednesday. I need you guys here. Jump on a plane, go. But I don't get those issues. I never get somebody going, oh my God, I need to get stronger in my glutes today. Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
I
you
did my
definitely
job properly.
you're in the world where your work shows up for the week. It doesn't come from the week. So yeah, I mean, we had an issue simultaneously. Lucas winning this week. The other side of the coin on live with Peter was having some just a minor technical difficulty. Wasn't hitting his driver super well. Everything else is looking real good.
Now that
And
would be Peter Uline, would it not, Lance?
that would be Peter Uline, longest hitter on Live Tour. Live Tour. Are you allowed to say Live
Wow,
Tour?
longest hitter. No, this is not a sponsored podcast by the Live Tour. We have no affiliation to the Live Tour. We have nothing to do with the Saudis or anything to do with any other part of that. But we are willing to have guests on who have athletes that play for that. I'll put a little disclaimer at the bottom of the screen in my
Please,
show notes.
please do. It's fun out there, man. We have such a great time out there. But I even said to Peter, I go, dude, it's Tuesday or Wednesday of last week. I said, do you need an emergency visit? You're in New Jersey, you're not in Kazakhstan or wherever. I can get up there. He's like, no, I think we can figure this one out. Because of the work we did for the last 4 months on understanding the position. Oh, and here's another thing: educating the caddy. Educating the caddy is huge. What the hell is that?
Sorry. Go on. No, I'm paying attention.
So I'm nonstop educating the caddies on position, body awareness. Like Zach Peters' caddy, he knows if his pelvic tilt is too much. So I'm kind of coaching him to be a Jason Glass, if you will, so he can teach him how to load and or explode at events.
Wow. Well, you know what? One thing you don't want to do is load and don't explode. I mean, that'll stay with you. But if you're not loaded and you're exploding, yeah, you're leaving some on the table there. You got room to play. You got room to play. So with Peter, long hitter, and really your relationship with him has been very long, from even way back in the days when he was an amateur trying to develop his game in college, and then going into European tour, and then you've been really at some pinnacle points of his career right from day one. It must be wild to go through that and see his progression over those years.
Well, Peter and Lucas were in very similar dark places. There was a couple years ago, Peter was having a lot of trouble, like just couldn't figure it out. Some players call it the mumble tank. He's on one side of the range, just mumbling, just frustrated. I would equate Matthew Wolf to being in that situation recently, until last week when he just came out. And well, he was super shining until DeChambeau went 61-58 on him, which is a little bit hurtful. But Wolfie finished fifth, and coming from a place he was in, that's amazing. Peter was in a very similar place, and he worked through it. He didn't give up, and what he did was give in. So Peter's very confident in what his path should be, what he wants to do. And when we were changing some things, he was resistant to an extent. But you almost, this is part of the artwork of our coaching. If you can just massage it a little bit and make it his idea, all of a sudden the idea, that little seed takes root inside him and starts to grow. You just water it here and there, and next thing you know, he's coming asking you for the exact things that you wanted to coach him for in the first place. Once we got some of those technical things that were keeping him in the mumble tank, my God, the guy was just like a rocket ship going straight up. 13-14 million dollar earnings in less than a year's time, because he had the foundation, he had this chassis. We just had to make some tweaks to the engine, and the guy's just off and running. So to me, I don't see many athletes at that level in a far different place. And if I can extrapolate this to the average golfer, every average golfer thinks they're so far from being a good golfer, good ball striker, hitting it far. And it's usually something stupid that you can really take hold of and take ownership of and make the change and be so much happier with your game.
Wow, it's so true. It's such a the mindset of the professional golfer. They could be at the top of the world. They could come in like top five, and then a week later feel like they don't belong, and they're like, I don't know what I'm doing out here, and what should I be doing? And they all of a sudden they feel like the sky's falling. So it's amazing how the roller coaster ride. And you'd think, being an amateur looking out from the outside in, you'd think, oh, these guys just show up and they do their thing, and their life is great. But there's actually a lot of insecurity, a lot of like unknowns that are. Hold on one sec. Sorry,
We're on a hold.
we can clip this out. To who?
Okay.
Oh, Lance's fans. Okay. Oh, cool.
What are you doing?
How many more? I'm doing a podcast right now. How many more? Just put the pile there, and I'll finish them after the. Sorry, signing autographs. So where were we?
We were talking about how much of a brilliant guy you are.
Oh, yeah. Well, so the podcast 500 was cool. I mean, to get to that number, I think we moved on from that, haven't we?
No, we're coming back. It's a callback.
We're circling back.
Yeah.
Oh my God. It never ends, dude. Tendonitis of my signature. Like, I've even switched to left hand, but since I've injured the thumb, it's out. So let's get off of that for a little bit, talking about me. It can't all be about me, Lance. Let's talk a little bit about maybe the journey since the last time that we've spoke on the Glass and Gill Show. You've had quite a little bit of a journey from coast to coast. Put it on your toast. What are you up to now? I get a lot of people asking questions. What's up with Lance? He's all over the place. He's over here. He's over there. He's over here. It's quite phenomenal that you're able to coach from all over the globe, and you got athletes everywhere. You're on bi-coastal. Is that okay to say publicly?
Yeah.
Okay. So bi-coastal, and yeah, just give us a little synapse of what a daily life is like as a coach, a performance coach in this world.
So about 2 years ago, right in the heart of COVID, Jason Bale and myself were chatting. Jason is a very high-end coach, was in Belfair, South Carolina, and then moved down to Jupiter Hills. And he had been at all of our seminars when we were teaching before the incident of COVID. And just strategizing, like, there's a better way to do this. And finally, we came to the agreement that perhaps there is a better way to do it, to have the performance and body side in the lesson with the technical side at the same time, which isn't very often done due to the structure of business in the industry, which is a total shit show. All right. So I moved to Jupiter, Florida back in 2021 to start a journey on understanding the lesson world. You and I have spent 20 years inside of a gym, seldom on the range, doing physical screens, exercise training, biomechanics, but we didn't spend a ton of time on the range. I know you do spend time on the range more and more, but in our early days, we really didn't. So what I'd done is I made the leap as a fitness and medical person into the golf instruction world. And what I found really quickly was Jason was a technical guru. Like, he would talk about stuff that I know a lot about the golf swing. I really do. And I was like, holy shit, I don't even know what you're saying. So we would spend inordinate amount of hours talking about what he meant by a wrist position or this or that. It's like Blackburn talking. Half the time you don't understand what he's saying because he's up here like a super scientist and you're just like a first year understudy trying to understand him. But once I got his language down, and this is the key point, once I got his vernacular down, I could then use my knowledge of the body, medicine, biomechanics, and physical screening to support everything that he was saying from a technical or structure issue. And that's what is different about how we coach. Is inside of a lesson, you'll get the technical, the traditional golf coaching from Jason, but then you're going to hear it from me on your right hip, your pelvis, your ankle mechanics, your neck mechanics, your strength, your power, your speed. And to a golfer, now you're hearing it from so many different angles, but the message is all the same. It all funnels them into one central direction. And I feel like that's been a very, very rewarding process. The business model hasn't changed one bit, and that's very unrewarding. But the knowledge that I've gained is so fascinating because I would never want a lesson from just a golf pro. If I was going to take a lesson, I would want you and Blackburn there at the same time. I know you and Mark spend a ton of time together. I would want both of your eyes on it because you're going to be, 4 eyes is better than 2. And in my case, I actually have laser vision. So I have 8 eyes plus Jason's 2. You got 10 eyes on you.
Well, that's the thing is like I've always introduced you, and you used to hate it back when we were doing level ones. I would say that Lance is the Swiss Army knife of golf instruction, because you got so many different tools in your arsenal. And again, don't want to speak out of turn, but like you can open a beer like a Swiss Army knife could open a beer. You can also turn a screw, or you can stab somebody in the gut if you have to. If you're in a street fight, you can. You got all the tools, but now forget about Swiss Army knives. Put all those tools into golf. You got the medical, you de fitness, you got the biomechanics. I think the biomechanics is so valuable. Like like a lot of people know how to use a K vest, whoop de doo. But to be a true biomechanist, like yourself, one of the best in the world, to be able to apply that and then be able to communicate on the range with your player, you really are bringing all those elements together. And I think that with Jason Bale, that combination is lethal. Obviously, I mean, you're showing with the results, but you also take all those elements and you also do the same thing remotely. The way that you're able to take all of those tangibles and not leave anything unturned, and then be able to do that for the consumer in your remote training programs. That's been a challenge. Like the technologies come into play where you can now do that remotely. What's that been like to be able to coach, from really anywhere in the world, but give them that high level of coaching, the Swiss Army knife approach, in a virtual environment?
Well, it's awesome when you find the right recipe for your athletes. So remote coaching requires one thing, in my humble opinion: it's independent athlete. If you are a dependent athlete or a dependent golfer, it's probably not going to work ideally for you, which means you need hand holding. There's a lot of hand holders out there and a lot of my golf pros in the world know this. Like, you got the same client that comes in for once a week, twice a week for lessons, and the lesson is the same every single damn time. Never is progress made. You're just a practice coach. To me, that's not for me. I'm interested in building athletes that are independent thinkers and that use our expertise as a helping stone. I'm there to help you. That's why you don't see us on the range at every single tour event. Could be, but our athletes, I try to get them to be a little bit more independent. Or maybe we just attract independent athletes versus dependent athletes. It could be both. So the remote world requires independence. So my athletes need to know about their golf swing, need to know the foundations, and know the checklist. If your ball does X, check this. If it does Y, check this. Same with their body, so that they can ask questions and we can nurture them along with guidance here and there. And it works very good because at the end of the day, I'm not out there playing with my clients who are in, Oklahoma. They have to play by themselves and they have to be able to check their golf swing. So that's what I really like about it. It demands independence. And to me, that's a backbone or a hierarchy for success that lasts a lot longer than dependence.
And you've been able to do the same thing you did in Jupiter, which is, get a team around them, so that when they are working in a virtual world or a remote training environment, it's not just Lance. So you're getting the whole team approach there too, which is really, really powerful. So like some of your athletes in a remote program might need a little bit more on the body side. Like maybe that's the magic sauce that's going to give them the performance that they're looking for. And others need a little bit more technical side on the golf side. So it's really, really cool the way you've been able to do that and really put a team together and offer a unique product like that. So very, very cool, man. You've developed it over years. You guys have gotten really great at it. So it's super cool to be able to see. So how do people that are listening here learn more about that? Like, do they just go to your website, Instagram? What's the best way for them to find out more about your?
They can go to lgperformance.com. That's for Lance Gill Performance. They can go to our Instagram, click the link. The bio will take you to all of our information, but I think the easiest way is to set up a strategy call. My director of operations, Justin, is so tuned into this game, so tuned into the holistic aspect of golf. He's a TPI certified. We educated him. Kaylee's on the other side. Tell us what you want. Tell us what your goals are, and we'll tell you if it's a good fit. I even started doing, send me your golf swing. So get on one of those strategy calls, send in your golf swing. I will personally look at your golf swing and tell you what I see from your body as potential roadblocks, potential hurdles that we might have to face to achieve your goals of X, Y, and Z. I'll do that for free. I don't really care. I'm just interested in golfers making the right decision for their game. We've always talked about this on stage, is like average golfer spends $2,500 a year on betterment. It could be clubs, it could be lessons, it could be X, Y, or Z training aids, and the handicap improvement is 0.0 strokes. That's got to change. If you paid money to get better, you better get better. So what I'm trying to do is isolate and find the people that are, really into getting better, and then give them the platform and the ability to do so.
I love it. I love it. I mean, that's the you got the whole package there, which is awesome. Let's switch gears a little bit from coaching for a minute and
Please.
go outside, because a lot of people that listen to this podcast, they're like, okay, this is great. We get to hear two great coaches talk about, performance and all that kind of stuff. But day-to-day life outside of the game of golf, there is more to life than golf. There's more to life than hitting the ball on a green fairway. So what kind of things, maybe since the last time we spoke about, what kind of things have you integrated into the world outside of work, that has helped you along the lines of, like, because this podcast has really gone deep into the dream big, over deliver, be undeniable side from the book. When the book came out, a lot of people started really getting into, like, I've never really thought about my life as like something that I have control of. I never really thought that I might have the ability to improve spiritually, mentally, emotionally, outside of just trying to get my body fit and all those kind of things. So, what have you done? What kind of journey have you been on in that realm?
So we'll go off a cliff here, and stay with us, people. If it doesn't resonate with you, I will say I understand and I empathize with you, because I was once there, very, very short few months ago. Jason, you and I have been sitting in countless seminars, countless locations on earth. And believe it or not, people, he copied his looks after me, but he doesn't always copy his ideologies after me. We've had a lot of difference of opinion. We've always done it in a professional, loving, and nurturing manner. But over the last 2 years, I've really been forced into an environment where I don't have my family, my people around me, my dogs. I don't have a support system that I've been used to. So to me, it was time to go inside. It's time to delve inside of me. And finding your dream big and over deliver is not external. And I know you talk about this. It's going inside and understanding you better, and understanding how to, I don't know, find your center, get rid of your ego, if you will. And by no means am I rid of my ego, but at least I understand that the things in my life for 40 years were heavily driven by ego and programming. And now I'm starting to understand a little bit more about who I truly am, the person that listens to the ego. hears the ego, feels the ego. I'm not my ego. I'm not, and ego doesn't mean arrogance. It's up here. It's what your brain is telling you on a day-to-day basis. I've actually gone very, very far inside of me to understand who I am, what I am, and that has allowed me. This has been the greatest 2 years of learning I've ever had. Life learning, golf learning, people learning, business learning, and all those lessons haven't been ideal, but they've been awesome, and I'm very grateful for them because I'm able to take it inside. That to me is the most important thing. If you look at all of the listeners out there and you look at all their friends and all their families, the number is probably pushing 200 to 700 million people. And I'm not even joking. You take all the listeners plus their friends and family and their networks, 700 million people. Every single one of those people is hurting. They're hurting in some way, shape, or form. And this journey that you've been on for a lot longer than I have, I'm on it, has been instrumental in easing that pain and helping grow. And that's everything.
Yeah, you make a really good point because you talk about going inside. Um, we have kids. We're very blessed. We have kids. We have families. We have dogs. We have a house. You have your business. You have your relationships, business relationships, friendships, all these things, right? So all of these things, if we were to do like a
Good.
rainbow of external elements in our lives, we can judge ourselves on whether or not we're having success or failure, whether we're happy or sad, or all these things, aligned, and are they all working? And so many of us get distracted by this. Like our football team's doing good. Okay, awesome. So that means that everything's great. We can be distracted by all of that and inside be in pain.
Mhm.
So that act of removing all those things just for a moment, you don't remove them from your life. You just, through a meditation or even just some deep thought, if you take that and remove all those things that identify you, and then say to yourself, am I actually happy without those things? Like, do I need for you, the Dallas Cowboys, to have a good season in Manchester United? Does that really matter? And if it does, it's kind of sad that that's what makes you happy or sad, is that there's an external thing that's causing that. But when you go internal, you realize none of that stuff matters. You have to find that happiness inside. And then when you add those things back on to a happy body, a happy being, man, now you are actually like, you're glowing with love and energy to those people, because you're not using them to find happiness. You're actually enjoying them as part of your happiness. And people start seeing that differently. They start going, man, you're a little bit different. There's something about you. There's some kind of energy. There's something's going on. It's like, oh, that's because I'm not trying to suck the life out of you for my own, my own joys. I'm just trying to be, and I'm happy being, and that
Yeah.
that vibrates.
I've been in some weird situations this year because um, going down that road is awesome. I've been in situations where players are playing poorly or not optimally, and I was fine. I was absolutely fine. But what I realized, I was wearing or embodying the energy that was being given off to me, and it was very evident. I felt nothing. I felt totally just relaxed, in control, very calm, but I was wearing somebody else's energy. And because of that, it propagated a negative cycle, like a negative feedback loop that just got worse and worse and worse. And it was interesting to me because I could have shed that energy if I had been more aware. And that's kind of what we're talking about: understanding of your own feelings and traumas and past histories and programming. We don't realize how we project things out to the world oftentimes. And if you look at coaching, we can be giving a message, but the message isn't being received the way we're giving it. With a little bit more awareness, understanding, that message can be tweaked slightly and delivered in a more beneficial manner to the end user. And that all starts by understanding and having awareness of yourself. So it's a journey. It's hard because you have to first break yourself down first before you can do it to others, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I also think it comes with age too, because I seem to be having these conversations more and more with people that are, 40, late 40s, early 50s, and older, because you're at a stage of your life where you can reflect on this stuff. Young people, let's say somebody that's just finished college, they're just trying to make it in the world. They've got so many other distractions and things that they have to put their focus into that they don't have any time to get reflective. They don't have any of that. So I think it's a bit of a product of our age, and it's kind of sad because I'd love to, and I try through the podcast and through my book and trying to do other things. I try to give that message to people that are younger, but I find that it almost takes them, years later they'll go, "I remember you saying something years ago, and it just made sense now." And the fun thing is, as a coach, is like if you can tap into this kind of world, is some of your players, especially the younger ones, are like, "Jay, enough of that, enough of that." And then all of a sudden you get a phone call and it's kind of like, "Hey man, can we talk?" Because like they want to push away because they're like, "I don't want to talk about this kind of stuff." So I just like, "Oh, okay, well, I'm just going to be me, and I'm still going to share my thoughts, and when you're ready, you're ready." And then all of a sudden you get that call, "Dude, I've been thinking about that. I tried that meditation thing you did. Oh, the one that you said you'd never do? Yeah, I tried it.
Yeah.
You know what? I got a little bit of, I had some weird thoughts and I want to talk to you about it." It's like, "Okay, sure, let's go." So it's really cool, man. When you can take someone else down that journey.
Yeah, I mean, I had a young girl in the airport. She's 16 years old. She's flying from Philly back down to Florida by herself. One of her first flights by herself. And I'm excited. I'm thinking that's cool and everything, but I realized maybe this is scary for her. And she had a 5-hour delay, and she texts me randomly and just says, "Coach, what's up? I'm stuck in Philly. I'm kind of freaking out a little bit." And I'm like, "Whoa, this is not golf. This is real life." Like, this young lady is probably surrounded by 10,000 people, a little bit agitated, not sure what to do. And I just said, "Okay, let's slow down." And we ultimately talked her into people watching, which she thought was awesome. And I would have her explain, what is the most freakish person you're seeing. She would explain it to me. And she goes, "Coach, I still got 4 hours." So we ended up doing an assignment. I gave her an assignment. I thought this was cool. And the assignment was, you got 1 hour. You have to write down 100 items, things that you want to be, you want to do, or you want to have. And you only have an hour to do it. And it has to be done in cursive. And this is a really cool experiment. It's fun and there's a purpose to it. And all the listeners do this. Write down 100 things that you want to be, have, or do. And it could be 1 second from now, it could be 10 years from now. I don't really care. But you have 45 minutes to write 100 things down in cursive. Then we're going to put that list away. It has to be in cursive.
In
This is
cursive
you.
or without cursing?
Oh, you can curse.
Okay, good, 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 good.
Curse.
I'm in.
I feel like 25% of your items should have swear words in them.
All right, sounds good.
So we're going to put the list down. And after 1 month, we're going to revisit the list. And you're going to take a highlighter, whatever color you want. You got a nice blue one in the background there. You're going to highlight everything on that list that you have made progress on or accomplished. So after, we'll say 4 weeks, and you write down 100 things, I did the list and I had 21 items that I crossed off the list. 21 items got crossed off the list. So I was 21% growth rate, if you will, after 4 stinking weeks.
Wow.
Do is you replace those 21 or whatever it is with new ones. And it's a really cool experiment of how to go inwards to talk to the universe, if you will, and set the tone for what you want, need to do, or have in your life. And ultimately, I get the final response, "Coach, I just landed. I got the list done. Do you want to see it?" And it was really cool ending to a somewhat stressful day. And that's where we make the biggest impact, I think, on people's lives, is by those little nuances that we add at awkward times.
That's coaching, my man. That is coaching right there. That's the secret to coaching. Is that human connection. It's about people trusting you. It's about people believing that you have their best interest at heart, which is hard because there's a lot of, I don't know, there's a lot of people in this industry who are still, trying to seek out players because they want to feed their own ego or feed their own brand and develop their own identity in the industry based on the players. Like, and then there's other people that are out there because they care about the development of the player and like the success of the player. Like I've always said to people go, what do you want to do with this? Do you want to work together, or who would you like to work with? I'm like, I don't care where you are, whether you're in the Corn Ferry Tour or the PGA Tour and you're top five, or just trying to hold on to your card. I care about the story. I want to be a part of the story. And they go, oh, so you want to be a part of my story? Like you're going to jump on my, and I'm like, no, no, no. If I believe in your story, then I'm willing to work with you. If I don't believe in your story, if I don't believe in the mission that you're on, and I don't want to be a part of something that I don't believe. If you don't believe it, how am I supposed to believe it? So if you believe that you're on this path and you're going to give it everything you got, and I like that path, I'm all in, and I don't care where you are in your standings. So people go, would you work with Roy? Sure, if I felt like I could contribute to that path that he's on, and I believed in the path, then I'm all in. Otherwise, if he was just like, I just need 5 pounds of muscle and I just need to get faster. But are we going to work on some of these other elements? No, I don't want you for that. I just want muscle and five miles an hour speed. Okay, I'm not interested. I need to. It has to be the whole enchilada. You have to give the whole thing.
You're ultimately saying you have to say no. You
Yeah,
have to say,
I say no a lot.
and I don't. You look back to your education at University of British Columbia, the Timberwolves.
That's not a big deal. I broke a lot of records. Yeah, go on.
You were a fullback, weren't you?
I broke a lot of records. None of them on the football field, but yeah, go on.
Anyway, the point I was making. What the fuck was my point? All right, I lost a bet. The Memphis Grizzlies were once in Vancouver, and I lost $100 Canadian bacon bill to Jay Glass because I didn't think there was a team in Vancouver. Why would you put one?
You almost lost 200 because I told you when you rub the $100 bills together, it smells like maple syrup, and you didn't believe that either.
Yeah, but Mark Blackburn, I think, got too lippy, so he overshadowed my arrogance. But that was neither here nor there. Yeah, I can't remember I can't remember what I was gonna say, but it was damn important. Son of a biscuit.
I do that to people. I distract them.
You just like,
I remember as soon as I said Rory McIlroy, you went, saying no to people.
Oh yeah, saying no to people. It's like in your education, were you ever taught how to say no, how to choose clients, how to attract the right clients?
I was taught in college no means no, but other than that, no.
Yeah, I understand. I feel before I was going inside myself, like we just talked about, I would attract the wrong clients. People that didn't want to put in the work, that were, fix me, solve me. I hear you're a guru. Your price is above $200, so you're going to have the answer. I'm like, God, that's not how it works. That's really not how it works. And the other thing is, you're not paying for my time either. You're paying for my expertise. I think that's a very critical point in the golf industry. It's at a tipping point. People still feel like they're buying your time versus your expertise, and that's absolute garbage. And that's one of the things that I find that the industry is really repulsive on. So guy comes in, I need to hit a draw. That's all I care about. I want to hit a draw. Okay, literally we can hit you a draw in 5 swings. So why then do we have to spend the next 55 minutes of an hour lesson doing random shit? Because the client thinks they bought time. We think we're providing expertise, and there's a disconnect. We're speaking different languages.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so what do you want to do? Do you want to, if it's time and money is the kind of currency in the exchange that we're working on, you can go with somebody who's less experienced and work for the next 3 months, 1 hour a week for 3 months, and maybe get to the same result. Or we can take 5 swings, fix the issue, and you go work on it on your own. Now, I might charge you 5 times as much as that other person for that 5 shots, but you're not going to waste 3 months trying to figure this stuff out, because we've seen those reps, we've done those reps, we've had those years of experience, so we can get to the point faster and get to the result faster. And another thing that other people just don't seem to recognize is also the network that you've developed. So me being able to say like, hey, you know what, a player has an issue. Let's say it was a tendonitis of their collarbone. I might have a collarbone tendonitis expert ready to
Yes,
go. You need some help with your tendonitis in your collarbon? No problem. I got you. Yeah, they're ready to see you on Tuesday. Does that work for you? Like there's something to that. There's something to that.
isn't that the specialist in Sault Ste. Marie?
That's right. See, we know the same people. We know the same people.
You know,
Uh,
that situation's classic. I had one of my trainer friends up in Greenwich, the mean streets of Greenwich, um, called me and she said, "I got a female family with a young kid. They want to put a gym potentially in their basement. What do I do? I don't even know what to do." I was like, "All right, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna call Life Fitness. We're gonna talk to them. We're gonna give them the layout. They're gonna give you the specs, and then they're gonna give you the land skill discount. Boom. Within 30 minutes, it's all in front of her, all the pieces of machinery that she needs, plus the discount, which totaled $3,800, able to give it back to her client." And she's like, "Holy moly, I am missing so much." I was like, "That's my Rolodex. That's your Rolodex." And that's what people are paying for. Because when you look at it, we don't know how to navigate different businesses. We've talked about this before. Like if you and I tried to go into the finance sector, we wouldn't know what we're doing. But in this world, we know a lot of people with a lot of answers. And if we don't have them, we will find them.
Absolutely. You know, and for those people who feel while watching this, if you're a coach out there and you're listening to this and you're like going, well, that must be nice to be, you know, in the upper echelon of your field. Yeah, you can be too. All you got to do is make that. That's if that's your goal, that's your dream big, then you got to start doing the hard work. It's that simple. You need to just get the work done. It is experience, it is time, it is investment of your energy. And if you do it and you do it for the right reason, you'll get there. You'll find that those opportunities they will happen.
And partner with the right people. Like you can't do everything yourself. Load and explode. Jason Glass Performance Lab Industries / podcast doesn't do everything on himself. All right. You do a lot of work with Blackburn. You do a lot of work with other coaches. And you are, we'll say, the pit crew for those coaches. They trust you, they value you, and it has helped. It's a mutually beneficial relationship. And I do the same thing. So if there's coaches out there that are not knowing what to do and want to take their game to the next level, give me a call. Talk to me. This is what we do for a living. Help make you shine in the lights better. And that's everything. Whether it's you talk about this, Jay. Your currency. If your currency is I want my name in lights, I can help you. If your currency is I want more money, we can help. It's all there. Don't try to do everything yourself.
Absolutely, 100%. And that's the whole idea of mentorship. That's the whole idea of teamwork. That's the whole idea of like bringing groups of people together in building these kind of networks. It's mutually inclusive. Like you have to help each other out. It can't be one way. If it's one way, there's going to be money exchanged. If it's two ways, where you're both working together and you're both helping each other. I love those relationships because it's coming from the right place and the right reason. So
we have a term for that. One way is transactional. Two ways is transformational. And that's a Jason Baleism. You know that. He took the mentorship. And if I can speak for a moment on the mentorship, I personally have taken the mentorship over 7 to 8 years of you developing it. I was the test subject. Just for your audience, I was literally the test subject. Now, I wasn't always the most quick to pick it up, but I have personally attended the mentorship and it's changed my life. And I recommend it for every single person out there. But you have to be willing to face some of the stuff inside you because that's what you do. You go inside and you uncover who people really are. And the results in your mentorees is phenomenal. It's phenomenal.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
They're astoundingly different. So please give it a look at, everyone.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I mean, it's you could go deep into
DEEP.
marketing plan, you can go deep into financial plans, you can go deep into all that stuff that everybody else is offering. I just wanted the mentorship to be different and just go inside and figure out what people actually want and why they want it. What is the driver behind their actions? And once we figure that out, then we can put a real plan together that is actually going to execute what they're wanting to accomplish. There's just too many of us that are sold on these, YouTube and Instagram promises of, we're gonna be able to make more money, and we're gonna be able. You want to have a car like me? You can do this, and if you want to do this, like look at what I've been able to accomplish, and you can follow the same game plan. It's like it doesn't work, folks. If that's not the path that you should be on, you got to figure out what the final destination is, and if you're gonna reach it, it better be worthwhile, and it better fulfill those needs, those currencies that you want. So, yeah, no, I love that community, because like everywhere we go, there's somebody in our circle that we get to interact with, and they're like they're family. So it's really cool.
Yep, and we're all experiencing the same thing. So I don't like the upper echelon talk because I'm not upper echelon. I may have some good players at times. I also have some very beginning players at times. I'm no different than anybody else, and that's how we lecture. We produce our education as we speak to you on your level. We don't speak up above you, down at you. That's never, never, never something we do. And I always want people to feel safe and confident and comfortable talking to us about anything because we are going through the same thing you are going through. It's a tough world out there, and our industry is very unforgiving at times.
Absolutely. Any final words from Mr. Gill on what will be in season 5? Hopefully, many a Glass and Gill show. If people like this, all they have to do is we have the YouTube version. We also have the audio version. Just share with the world that you want more Glass and Gill in your life, and we'll put more of these out. These conversations have to be put out into the ether world so people can start kind of, I don't know, maybe talking to themselves about some of these issues that are taboo and people don't want to dive into. Any last thoughts, Mr. Gill?
Yeah, I'm learning not to be afraid of the harder conversations, and if we have to have them to inspire you, fine. But if you don't speak it to the universe can't hear you. So that sounds fruity, but it's the reality of the existence that we're in. So speak it up.
I love it. That's a good place to end it today, and we'll pick it up again another time. The Glass and Gill Show, once again, Coach Glass Podcast. As always, we like to dream big, over deliver, and be in tonight. Yeah. Cheers, everybody. Cheers, everybody.
Welcome to the next level.